Welcome back to the Grenadier podcast, Real Estate Uncovered. Today I speak with Allie McDonald on why your real estate office matters. You obviously love this business. Tell me what you love the most about it. Today, an absolute exclusive. Welcome back to the Grenadier podcast, Real Estate Uncovered. Allie, can you introduce yourself to us?
Sure. So my name's Allie McDonald and I am the branch manager for Ferrymead and Sumner offices.
Welcome back to Grenadier. Tell us a little bit about what you've been doing and your real estate journey to date.
Sure. So my real estate journey started nearly 11 years ago. I purchased a property through one of our wonderful agents and I thought, gosh, that looks like fun. And so I asked her about what the industry was like and I completed my papers. I then joined that office, sold for a couple of years, and there I then moved into the Christchurch City office and ran a training program. After that, I then had another baby. I went back selling for a while. I then moved into a training role for Harcourts New Zealand. And now I am back in home turf and managing both Ferrymead and Sumner offices.
Oh, that's so exciting. And it's great that you've had those opportunities outside of Grenadier, still in the Harcourts family, you know, to walk alongside the corporate team and to train all our new agents.
Yes.
I know when you came back to Ferrymead and Sumner, you'd either worked with the team or you'd trained the team, so they were very familiar to you.
Very, very familiar,
and
yes.
They were very excited to have you as their new leader.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have a sense of what your leadership style might be like?
Yeah, my leadership style is I tend to, and I don't know if this is the right term phrase, but I tend to lead from the back. I'm very much a cheerleader leader.
Yes.
For me, I think the most important thing when you're a leader is to develop that culture. And I think most things flow from a great culture. And so for me, it's about encouraging people, working alongside them. How can I make this not easy for them, but how can I make this not feel hard and a chore? And how to really see their own potential and be excited about their opportunities.
Yeah, beautiful. In terms of a new agent fresh into the industry, as you were 11 years ago, what do you think the key things a new agent needs to focus on?
Being dedicated is ultimately the most important thing. So there's a lot of research and a lot of information out there about motivation. Motivation really only gets you so far because ultimately no matter what it is that you're hoping to achieve or what you're getting involved in, ultimately that motivation wanes in the end, and it's dedication that you need to actually keep doing it when you don't feel like it.
Yes.
Or keep doing it when you're getting those knocks psychologically or financially. And just to keep that sort of train on the track, it's the dedication that you need to keep you going. So that all comes down to, you know, that mindset, that drive, that ambition. But yeah, ultimately keeping oneself going, even when oneself does not feel like it.
And I guess key to those things is finding the right office and the right manager for you. How
Absolutely.
important is that? And
critical.
Yeah.
Absolutely critical. So I think that you need to consider your manager as almost an extension of your family, and you will potentially spend more time with and on the phone to your manager than sometimes what you do your significant other.
Yes.
And so it has to be a very harmonious fit with that person so that you can work on the same page, you understand each other. When the going's good, you celebrate together. When the going's less good, you can help each other and you know how each other works in order to rebuild or perhaps redirect that business. I think each manager has a particular style.
Yes.
And each office has a particular vibe. So it's about finding that perfect balance that's going to suit you. And sometimes we recommend that you would be perhaps best placed to go to the office that's closest to your home, but sometimes the office that's closest to your home isn't the best fit. So it's about finding that perfect balance.
Yeah. And I guess that's what I love about Grenadier when I visit our 9 offices. They all still have their own subcultures, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
And that's based on the leadership and the personnel there.
Yes.
And they're all supportive, but in different ways.
Absolutely.
And you've got to find your own tribe, right?
Yes, 100%. Yes. Yeah.
How do you think real estate training has evolved over the years?
It's considerably more online content. So I guess if I think back to when I was trained, it was all very much face-to-face. You've got your workbook, here's your pen, sit down and do it, and a little bit of death by PowerPoint, if I'm allowed to say that.
You are allowed to say that.
And now there's a lot more video content, there's a lot more online content, there's a lot more content that can be consumed at your own pace and stage. Probably thanks a little bit to COVID, I think.
Yes.
But ultimately, it is much more readily available than what it was. You don't necessarily have to jump in your car and go and visit a specific destination in order to receive that information. So I think it's actually easier for us to engage with training material because it is so readily available. But sometimes it's about filtering out the quality when there's such amounts of quantity.
Yes, yeah. And I guess, we've talked about this before, but in real estate, the training never stops, does it?
Absolutely, absolutely. And the learning never stops because it's not a job that you're ever, able to tick off and say, I've got that one.
Yeah.
Because it's
one and
constantly evolving. Yeah, constantly evolving, and you're learning new things every day. And human nature is that we forget things too, and so constantly you sort of have to remind yourself about how things particularly work, and what's the legislation or what's the law on that, or what's the best practice, what form am I supposed to be filling in for this particular transaction. So
yes,
yeah, absolutely,
yeah. Allie, you started as a Grenadier girl, then you went off to work for corporate. That would give you perspective, I'm sure, because you've got to work with all the franchises across New Zealand.
Absolutely.
Since you've come back to Grenadier, can you sort of tell us what you think sets Grenadier apart?
Yes, I can. So I guess the beauty of being in that corporate environment was that I was Switzerland for a period of time, and it did allow me that unique perspective in order to be able to spend some really amazing time in other offices and other franchises and other businesses. And hand on heart, no one's doing it wrong. Everyone's just doing it differently.
Yeah.
The one thing that I would say about Grenadier, though, is that Grenadier is a big, well-oiled machine. So we have the best resources, I believe, and the best leadership, which flows down, of course, to every aspect of the business. There's not an area of the business, I think, that hasn't been assessed and analysed and perhaps dissected to see how it could be better, or it could function better. So ultimately, it's a very well-functioning machine, and there isn't sort of an area of the business which is still a work in progress. Everything seems to be great quality, but constantly sort of reviewing things and constantly evolving to see how things could be better.
Yeah. And I love the diversity amongst our team, right? That
Absolutely.
just brings so much to the table, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, it's such a fabulous culture. There's no
man's left behind.
No man is left behind, and it's not a particular culture that you can almost put your finger on either. I think there's real estate brands out there that have particular cultures which are swung sometimes one way or another. It's a really feel good culture.
Yes.
And really inclusive.
Yeah. I know when I go and look around town at other auction rooms and things like that, people always say to me, oh, we love the Grenadier rooms. They're so friendly.
Yeah.
Which
absolutely.
I think is part of our Grenadier culture, is making it a friendly place to come.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
In terms of consultants, what habits or mindsets would you say are imperative?
I think ambition is hugely important. Ambition not just to get started, but to be better. Even our best sales consultants are constantly striving to be better.
Yes.
And so I think just having that really internal drive to have that ambition and that self-employed mindset is critical, really. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think you sort of become who you hang out with, don't you?
Absolutely.
And if you're working alongside top performers, you can model what they're doing, you can share ideas, and I think, our culture speaks to that a lot.
Absolutely. One of my favourite quotes is, you become the sum of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, and that is so true in real estate.
Yeah.
And another thing too is that you pick up their habits not only the habits, though, you hear them on the phone and you hear the way that they speak to people. Sometimes you'll do them a little favour and then they'll say, oh, you helped me out in that situation, so I'm heading away for the weekend, would you mind covering my open homes? And if you're a new sales consultant, just having the opportunity to, do that business on that other agent's behalf, it can lead to amazing, amazing things and can kick off your business.
Yeah, absolutely. Allie, what excites you the most about being our new branch manager at Ferrymead and Sumner?
Very selfishly, I absolutely just adore that area and I adore the people. It's like home ground for me. It has been very, very comfortable coming back.
Yes.
When we're doing a team inspection, we are inspecting the most beautiful properties in the most beautiful franchise area, and I'm very biased, but I'm allowed to say that. And the other thing is that it is just a very, very fun culture. The people that are in the team are just gorgeous individuals, and they're all very different, but they are all very friendly with each other, and they're all rowing in the same direction, which I just love. The sales meetings are very loud and hilarious, which is great. So it's all about the people and the environment, really, which is what real estate's all about.
Absolutely. So, Allie, as you know, at Grenadier, our managers are fully focused on managing their team and they do not sell real estate. What do you think are the advantages with that?
I think there's a massive advantage with that. Ultimately, it means that the manager's sole role is to really support that sales team and drive growth for each of those individual sales consultants. I think that it's a huge advantage of Grenadier that our managers do not sell and that they are there to quite simply focus on that specific task. I'm not quite sure how a manager could have time to sell when you are really supporting and knees deep with your sales consultants and helping them with their business.
So if a client rings you and says, Allie, you sold for us 5 years ago, we really want you back, how do you deal with that?
Yeah, absolutely. So I would then, on that situation, I would go with a sales consultant that I know would match well with that client. So I would consider who that client is and then think about that. And then I would go with them and we would have a meeting and I would explain, hey, I've had a promotion. And so then I would explain the process that essentially they would sort of be getting 2 for 1. So I would be overseeing and making sure that everything would be exactly the same as if I was manning the listing for them.
Yes.
But they would be in the capable hands of the other sales consultant. And that works really well. It's a great thing to have for the sales consultants as well, because it means that there is the opportunity for additional leads to come in. And also it then obviously business leads to business, so there can be opportunities off that for them.
Yeah, fantastic. Is there any space for any more?
Yes, absolutely. Yes. I'm actively recruiting at the moment. Yeah. And so I'm looking for all sort of spectrums at the moment. I'm not specifically looking for a particular kind of character, but I am definitely on the hunt for some people that I think will add to our culture and also hopefully be able to be really successful in real estate in the team.
If you could go back 11 years and talk to Allie McDonald, who turned up in real estate, what one piece of advice would you give her?
Stop having children at 1. No, to be completely honest, I think my advice back to my former self would be hang in there.
Yeah.
Just hang in there, because it's very, very can be emotionally quite a roller coaster in real estate sometimes.
Yes.
And you can take the knocks a little bit hard and it can force you to really kind of consider your options sometimes. And I think that sometimes if you could have looked back 6 months or looked back a year, looking back on your progress is actually makes you much more proud.
Yeah.
And so I think if I had have just said to myself, hang in there, you'll be fine, it will be fine. I think that it probably would have just given me a little more confidence at the beginning, but easy for me to say that now 11 years down the line.
Allie, it's been a joy to have you back in the team.
Thank
and
you.
We look forward to seeing what you're capable of achieving with that fabulous Ferrymead and Sumner team.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Thank thank you so much for tuning into the Grenadier podcast. We hope you've enjoyed the show. Please give us 5 stars. We'd really appreciate it.